Oh, hello there. Yes, well, safely ensconced in bank holiday loveliness. I do like a bit of time snuggling in a dozy sort of state. It's rather good. Anyway, yesterday there was sort of the usual Sunday politics, which of course was dominated by Reform, because gosh, aren't they doing just so well? Yes, with that minimal backing from all of the media establishments out there. And speaking of which, there was very much a puff piece in the Sunday Times. If you can get past the paywall, link down below, please do have a look, because it's got realistically about 5 minutes worth of dialogue in it with Zia Yusuf, who's the guy who was voted in as party chairman, you may recall. No, of course he wasn't. He just simply threw a lot of money at them, and as such is very, very, very perfectly acceptable, even though he appears to be a certain skin colour which certain people don't particularly like. Might come on to that in a bit. But yes, anyway, it's very much a puff piece from the politics editor. It's got about 5 minutes tops worth of dialogue in it, and it would be intriguing if there was a longer conversation which basically didn't have anything included in it. But anyway, make of that what you will. Anyway, yeah, a Reform chairman, 'tis he. Young people need a moral re-education. I'm not too sure of the word moral there, but anyway, Zia Yusuf says schools will teach a love of Britain if Farage becomes PM. Yes, because that's definitely what people are crying out for, isn't it? Is for schools to teach a particular propaganda line. As long as it's not woke, I guess that's fine. I'd be intriguing to see exactly how different that's going to be, bearing in mind that Michael Gove brought in a very, very English-centric history curriculum, which people like Zia just have no idea about. But what is this guy, and where did he come from? Well, that's a perfect metaphor. He made his money selling stuff to very rich people, services to very rich people, and if one was going to be cruel about him, one might say that he's still doing exactly the same thing. He's simply selling stuff to rich people. He might well take a nod in your direction, but I'm not hopeful that necessarily that's the case. We'll come back to that one. In terms of the young people thing, you see, I mean, we do keep being told this, usually by people like Zia or Nigel Farage, or indeed Reform GB News Talk TV propaganda outlets, because after all, it's certainly a thing, isn't it, that young people are flocking to Reform, except of course the numbers don't add up to that. He says no party commands a bigger organic reach on social media than Reform, and Nigel and what that actually means. If that's not something boring corporate management, it means that Nigel's message is resonating with young people. Yeah, again, the figures just really don't bear that out in the slightest. Anyway, leaving that aside, I think a lot of young people we speak to feel very smothered by a finger-wagging sort of teaching class. That's me, by the way. Be intriguing to see the finger-wagging that goes on to make them more moral. Anyway, they feel very restricted. They feel a huge lack of opportunity. I don't think that's being taught stuff in history. Anyway, you are going to hear from us over the next couple of years more and more a policy platform for young people, for Gen Z, and for millennials. Yes, because right now, of course, it's only for people 50 plus who don't really like the fact that they have to, well, see brown people in adverts. If I want to be blunt about it, is that a bit cruel? Yes, but it's still basically the thing, isn't it? Yes. But what exactly might these policies be? Well, Reform's manifesto last year promised 20% tax relief on private school fees. Oh, that's a winner, isn't it? A patriotic curriculum. There we go. No idea either. A ban on transgender ideology in the classroom. Be really intrigued as to see how that one works out. 2-year undergraduate degrees. Think of the money somebody will save, and double the number of pupil referral units so schools can function safely. Yes, indeed, we need to take out all those naughty children. Please do, because that's where my bread and butter is. That won't be vastly expensive, of course. Yes, Farage has since pledged to establish a mini version of Elon Musk cost-cutting Department of Government Efficiency, Doge, in the 10 local councils the party now controls, where working from home, climate projects and diversity and inclusion schemes will be banned. Yes, and I am really looking forward to that, because of course we had the glorious news at the weekend that Dame Andrea Jenkins, the new mayor for somewhere or other in the countryside, has said she's going to ban all of the diversity and inclusion officers, what she's responsible for. So she's already managed that because there are none. You see, this is what these people think. They think the world is is run in a particular way, like schools, and then in actuality, it isn't. Still, it'll be intriguing to see all of these cost-cutting and efficiency savings that go on. Now, one of the most heavily unionised workforces still in the country is local government employees, and you can decide if you want to really hack them off, if you want to go into a real battle with them, and they'll go on strike. Now, if you want to see Birmingham and all those bin bags being left piled high, time after time after time, it's a really good way of doing it. But the problem is that if you're the Reform Party who just run the local council, you're just going to be banging your head against a brick wall because they don't care about you because the money comes from central government. That would be an intriguing one to watch. And they can set this up if they want as a real big showdown, but they'll lose, won't they? Because they don't have that kind of executive power. There isn't executive power in local government. Anyway, leaving that aside, let's see what else Zia has to say, shall we? Warming to his theme, Yusuf asks, how many young people know who Isabel Kingdom Brunel is? Well, actually, if you look at the national curriculum, the vast majority of them, because it's one of those people you do look at, for example, in, probably in Key Stage 3, but maybe even in Key Stage 3. And if you do Key Stage 4 GCSE stuff, you almost certainly will, one way or another. I would like to ask any Reform member various questions about British history, because they really don't know anything about British history, and I'm willing to bet, historically speaking, that the vast majority of, those upper echelons of Reform don't either, in very much the same way as they don't really know what's going on in schools. Look at the character assassinations that occurred to the legacy of Sir Winston Churchill. Yeah, okay then, so sort of not realistically. Again, it's one of those kind of, shibboleths, whichever word you want to put it with that. Things that aren't exactly, bit of a myth, bit of a legend, isn't it, that we all hate Winston Churchill? Anyway, the fact that they have to cover up his statue because they don't want to provoke protesters, that's a sort of utterly indefensible so-called leadership that we've had, and young people feel that in their bones. Yes, except the majority of people that are, protesting are young. Presumably they're the ones that need to be remoralised. I wonder how that might happen. Well, what the guy has actually suggested here is that we have a national emergency to deport 1.2 million illegal aliens from the country. And the moment somebody starts to talk about a national emergency with emergency powers, I get slightly worried, because I always think to myself, I wonder exactly what that might mean. Now, if you want to set up a sort of national committee to make sure that, various things are rammed through in terms of stripping people of their basic rights, either human rights or citizenship rights, then you can really do that. But it will require the sorts of mental gymnastics to suggest to anybody, young people in particular, that it's in anything other than an authoritarian power grab, especially if it's somebody who is just used to the idea that, if you have a great deal of money, you can just buy yourself into something and then basically steer it from there. This is what this guy is about. He might well have concerns. We all have concerns about the country, but I don't think his concerns realistically are about young people being stifled. I think his concerns are about young people who might well not buy into the notion of a kind of weirdly oligarchic rule which basically disposes of people in its own free will and free time. Anyway, make of all of that you will. I just find it astounding these people will bang on about how dreadful it is the things are going to go on in schools, and then demand that schools do X, Y, and Z. Because if you really want young people to be hacked off at a notion of a spurious past, it's a really, really good way to do it. But they ain't stupid, and they can see what's going on. Still, never mind, you can just sack all the teachers, can't you? I'm sure that'll work. Anyway, do have a lovely, lovely, lovely rest of, and enjoy your indeed shortened week, hopefully. Unless you're a boomer retiree, in which case, just carry on, really, I suppose. Yeah, it's good. Enjoy.